You all to this news review program. I am Fatu Camara. Well, we will start with the Standard newspaper right here, and it says that President Barrow hints at staying for 5 years. That's the headline on the Standard newspaper today. This is all coming from an interview that a press conference that the president gave recently, and that's where all these headlines are coming from if you look through the newspapers today. So on here, President Barrow said that he does not need to discuss with coalition members or anybody about the much talked about supposed 3-year transition amongst themselves, or whether he should stay for 5 years as mandated by the Constitution. I have seen that many people are like, okay, is President Barrow saying that he does not need to discuss this with anybody? But that's how it came out on newspapers. And President Barrow is quoted on here as saying, we are in a transition period. We have things that we need to fix. And I do not think we should hold elections just for the sake of holding elections. The president is saying that we are here to correct the system, and in correcting that system, we have to follow due process. He told journalists at a press conference. He's saying, before you all talk about elections, we are in a transition, and we want to make sure that we follow due process. That is what the president is saying. And this is taken as saying that the president is kind of hinting to people to say that I am not going after 3 years. I want to stay for the, as mandated by the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia, I want to stay for 5 years. So that is what is on the Standard newspaper today as headlines. And also, Barrow loses temper in response to Dr. Ceesay's criticism. That's also on the Standard. We'll talk about that now, and we'll also talk about it later with our guest who is currently in the studio. President Barrow has lost his cool. That's what Standard is saying when responding to criticism leveled against him by a critic of his administration, Dr. Ismaila Ceesay. Standard is saying Dr. Ismaila Ceesay is a critic of the Barrow administration. And it says Dr. Ceesay told Freedom newspaper that the Gambian leader has no idea about governance, describing him as clueless. That's what Standard is reporting. And Barrow was very, very angry when he responded to Dr. Ismaila Ceesay. I'm sure you have seen that response by the president, which some people say, hey, the president has a right to it. Is that democracy? And others are saying, no, I really don't think he should do that. They're saying that it is a new law for the presidency, but we'll also discuss that later. And UDP election petition adjourned to September the 6th. That is the High Court in Banjul on Tuesday adjourned the election petition case filed by Usainu Jabate, the United Democratic Party candidate in the Kuntawil administrative area, and it is moved to September the 6th. Rohi Samba appointed the TRRC Director of Communications. It's one Rohi Samba Jallo. She's been appointed Director of Communications, Outreach and Media for the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission that is on the verge of being set up right now. Mrs. Samba will oversee the work of a team of communication and reconciliation officers and work closely with the Executive Secretary and the commissioners to deliver on the mandate of the TRRC. She's said to have a lot of experience when it comes to the media. Julake license could have been revoked. That's also in the Standard newspaper. That's about the commission that is currently sitting on the Faraba incident that happened in Faraba. And Babylon protesters clarify, if you've been following the news, they did say that they spoke to the minister, Ibrahim Mbalo, the interior minister, and now they're saying, actually, no, we did not talk to him. We actually spoke with the minister of agriculture, who is Lamin Diba. He was the one that they spoke to, but Lamin is now an agriculture. They're saying that the Alcalo of Kombo Kerawan, Abdullah Jaj, was present at the press conference, even addressed the gathering, not his representative. They're trying to set the record straight right there. And a Gambian migrant arrested in Italy for allegedly killing compatriot. What this is one Sekou Saidi. He's a native of Kekutakunda village in Badibu district, North Bank region. He's been arrested right now in Italy by the Italian police on Monday. And XCDS Baji is Gambia's military attaché to China. He was first sent to Cuba to be the head of mission, but unfortunately that did not work out. And during the president's press conference, it came out that CDS, the former CDS Baji, is now going to be the military attaché to China. We actually tried reaching out to him, but we couldn't. And that's all in the Standard newspaper. And we have the Point newspaper right here. The Point newspaper is saying that the size of the military to be reduced. And that was also said by the President of the Republic, Adama Barrow. He said that during a press conference that right now they're working on that. He said with the military, we have started checking records, how people came into the army. And that is a process that is ongoing, he went on to say, because there's been a lot of talk that most of the people who are in the military are not Gambians. And others are saying that there are some people who are also not qualified. And for them to do this, it would take a process. So the president is saying this is a whole process and it is ongoing. We're not going to stop at just one thing. And now the former CDS, again, is on the Point newspaper. Former CDS appointed military attaché to China. He will be going to China. And right now the president said it is in the works and hopefully it will be done soon. Barrow downplays 3-5 years discussion that is still in the news. They're saying, okay, this man does not seem like somebody who wants to go. He actually wants to stay for 5 years as mandated by the Constitution of the Gambia. Faraba resident receives their threat. It is right here by its Famara IBL Jaju, an elder at Faraba Banta. He told the Faraba Commission on Monday that residents of Faraba threatened to kill him and burn down his house. That's also on the Point newspaper and on The Voice. Barrow slams critics, and you have a photo of President Barrow and, of course, Dr. Ismail Cisse about, like I said, we all had that audio, which we will discuss. We will talk about that later on. And hurricane commences in Banjul. Right now, as you all know, Tabaski is around the corner. It's on Tuesday. And right now, the one tear is on and is the same in Serakunda area. And right now, we have reporters who are out to look at the one tear and see how it is faring. And XCDS appointed again, that's on the paper, democratic transition impossible in 3 years. That's President Barrow. And Getch to launch on Saturday. Getch is owned by a Gambian who I guess has some partners. He is launching a tomato factory and I think a water company as well. He is Abubakar Jawara, a Gambian. And salary will be considered next year. That's also on the paper, and this is also coming from the president's press conference. Like I said, there are a lot of different headlines coming out of it. Health Minister tours central medical stores. That's also in the newspapers. An expert witness outlines requirements for issues, and educationists urge government to change the system. And they have a photo of Said Mati Jau and, of course, Musa the Scribbler. They're on the paper saying that the government need to change the education system. And of course, the presidency and the critics, that's an editorial on the Fourier newspaper. That is all in the news review today. But like I said, we have an interview that we will be having here today. Omar Wari arranged an interview and he actually has a very terrible cold, but he will join us. Omar, so what we're going to do right now, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will continue with the interview. Thank you for joining us. We'll be right back.
Replace your 3G SIM card today for the Real Africell 4G SIM and receive 1 GB of internet data for free.
The one tier is now moved to buffer zone. This year, the Tobaski one tier is being done at buffer zone. In fact, yesterday, the Lord Mayor came to pay a visit to the vendors there, and when some of them raised their concerns like not lack of sales, but maybe the council should help them do more publicity so that the people are aware, because considering the problems that we've been having in Serakunda, trying to organize one tier there. So this year the council deemed it fit to relocate the one tier from Serakunda to buffer zone, so as to alleviate some of the difficulties that the residents were facing in Serakunda, because as you all know that the place is a little bit congested, and there was usually problems with the residents as to getting access to their properties. The council is not forcing anybody to go to buffer zone. What the council is saying that this year the one tier that the council normally organize is not being done at Serakunda. It's the council is organizing the one tier at buffer zone. So all vendors and customers could go to buffer zone. But then, what council doesn't want is like the inconvenience that the residents of Serekunda were complaining of vendors, filling the streets and making their houses inaccessible. So if council is moving from Serekunda because of those complaints, we don't want to see the same vendors filling the street again. That's why the council is working with the police to make sure that the streets are cleared from vendors or hawkers who normally ply the road during this time or occupy the road during this time. So that's what council is enforcing. But we are not forcing anybody to go to buffer zone. It's just that we want the road, to be free, so that people could go about their daily businesses with less hassle. So if you see anybody loitering around your house or doing one tear around by your door, just call the police if you could, or just let some of your councillors know, so that we would inform the police and make sure that they all go to buffer zone.
From AfriCell, it's always real and it's for free.
Where AfriCell goes, no one has the speed to follow.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the News Review program, and I am Fatu Camara. I'm now joined by
Omar Wali.
Well, Omar Wali has an interview. He has a guest scheduled, so now go on.
Honorable Sidinjai, 100% Barrow, welcome.
Thank you very much, Omar, and thank you, Aji Fatu.
Thank you. You're welcome.
There is this trending hashtag going, if I like, where were you? Where were you during the impasse?
I was around. I was in town.
And where was Barrow at the time?
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to say thank you to you and to those viewing and listening. I come across with this, where was Barrow or where were you? Because, President Barrow, in his quest to set the record straight, he indicated and told every Gambian the struggle he underwent and his partners during, in fact, before the campaign period, the political impasse, and since 2016 to date, and his desire to give every Gambian the right to freedom, the right to express him or herself, right to be proud as a Gambian. And some people ask these questions. Others indicated that Barrow wasn't around, he went to Senegal. I say yes, they are not politicians and they are not strategists. You see, those of us who were in the APRC camp and who knew politics and at the height of the impasse, we really knew that the biggest and the fiercest blow Barrow ushered the APRC camp was for his acceptance. So there are a lot of negotiations, a lot of strategies with the international community to get him out of this country, but he refused. But at the end of the day, he decided to leave. And President Barrow, at the time, leaving Gambia was the biggest blow and the fiercest blow he gave to the APRC camp. And that's, in fact, ended the impasse. It was a strategy. Those who knew about it said this is the end of the negotiations.
So you agree with me that you were part of that problem, making Barrow to leave this country, because others deserted Jammeh ministers. You stood by him. And I remember an interview you said that you will stand with Jammeh through thick and thin.
Thank you very much. Yes, I was with Jammeh up to the last minute until I switched allegiance to His Excellency President Barrow. But as I said earlier on, in fact, in my that interview, I indicated that whosoever thought I have offended him or her, either during the impasse, after the impasse, before the impasse, in my political career, you saw it, my unreserved apology to every Gambian that I have offended. Let me also say this. I told people the reason why I supported President Barrow. Among other things, his leadership quality and my belief that his ardent desire to transform this country and to fulfill his promises to the Gambian. Additionally, he is my family member. Our two grandparents shared the same parent, the same mother and father. So, but at the time, President Barrow needed to leave the country, because if you know what I'm talking about, you see, if Barrow was in the Gambia here and Jammeh, our camp also were here, the negotiation could have gone, protracted negotiations.
But the mere fact, let me come in there. You said something. You said you related to President Barrow, but when did you know this? Because when Jammeh was here, Barrow, we wanted everybody, almost every Gambian wanted Barrow to be president because we needed that change so bad. But you, according to what the people are saying, you were trying to be on the side of the Jammeh, so that Barrow would not come in.
Yes.
But when did you know that you're related? That time you did not know?
No, I knew that during the parliamentary campaign.
I
have never said it here. Yeah, during the parliamentary elections.
Also, you did not know when?
No, I didn't. In fact, let me say it again. I have been saying it over and over. Had I knew we were related, I would have been one of his campaign managers, or let us in.
So now that he is president, or even when Jammeh was here, you would be?
I said if I knew that we were related, I was going to be one of his campaign managers during 2016 campaign. But what I'm saying is, you see, people don't know. Those of us who were at the UDP, or those of us who knew President Barrow, let me just say these things. You know, remember he contested against some years back as a member of parliament. Right. And there was a time also he wanted to contest. His people wanted him to contest badly, and he had huge following. But because his love for the United Democratic Party and loyalty, remember the UDP withdrew at the last minute from the parliamentary elections. And then his people say, even though the UDP withdrew, we want you to contest as an independent candidate. He said, no, I am a loyal supporter of the United Democratic Party. And the UDP decided to pull out, and I will never contest. That shows how loyal he is. And for me, at the time, I was in APRC. And you know, you remember, I've been a member of parliament for 10 years.
Yes, that's true.
And I've been national executive member of the APRC for 11 years. So I think it is only prudent at the time, as a loyal supporter of the APRC, to continue to support the APRC through thick or thin. But as I said, I want to commend President Barrow for embracing me, and also to apologize to all Gambians for whatever.
Someone just said that the apology is accepted. I'll let Omar go.
Okay, you said, but many people said Barrow, although there is no permanent friend, they always say in politics, no permanent enemy is a permanent interest. But what makes Barrow to be so much interested